Hello and welcome to today's Let's Talk Loyalty Live, a conversation all about the new rules of engagement, where we're going to reveal the latest research on customer expectations. This research is focused on the Asia Pacific region, which is super exciting for me. I often feel we don't get enough opportunities to understand this part of the world. Now, for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Paula Thomas, and I'm the founder and CEO of Let's Talk Loyalty, a leading industry podcast for loyalty marketing professionals, with over 400 episodes featuring interviews with loyalty leaders. On today's call, I'm thrilled to be joined by our friends from Collinson and also HDFC Bank, based in India. And I'll introduce both of our speakers now in a moment. By way of background, I know from my own audience that marketing professionals are under immense pressure to deliver measurable results from our customer engagement activities. So it's really hard to know what activities to prioritize when customer behavior is changing so dramatically. So today, my goal is to help you as brands to understand that. Our plan is to share insights from Collinson's latest exclusive research from 4,750 consumers across Asia-Pacific markets, as well as insights from HDFC Bank from their experience managing tens of millions of customers combined. We're going to discuss the key issues and opportunities for brands, such as the increasing dominance of digital channels, as well as helping brands to find compelling ways to connect with consumers and build lifelong loyalty more powerfully than ever. This research just launched yesterday, and it can be downloaded from the Collinson website. So we'll include the link to that in the chat box, and it'll be available for you throughout the session. Also, as you can see, Also, as you can see, this whole session is being recorded so we can share it with anyone who can't attend live. So let's kick off. Firstly, for anyone who doesn't know the brand, HDFC Bank has an incredible 43 million customers. They are the largest bank in India and the 7th largest in the world by market value. They're known as the trendsetter among the Indian banking community. So we're thrilled to be joined by Vidya Pradeep, EVP and head of the debit, credit and co-brand products and portfolio, as well as PayZap and SmartBuy at HDFC Bank. Vidya, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction, and hi everyone, very glad to be here. Thank you.
I know you've joined us after a couple of exhausting days of travel with torrential rain across different cities in India. So really appreciate your time and efforts, Vidya. You have been described as an HDFC Bank lifer. And of course, it's super exciting to learn that you oversee both the credit and debit card product and portfolios. But for anyone who doesn't know, can you also explain the other two products you lead at the bank, as well as the exciting product that you just launched yesterday?
Sure, Paula. I think to everyone here, I think most of the world understands how a classic credit card works. And there's a lot of debate about which is the best credit card. And everybody loves to have one in the wallet. And most people have two or three. When it comes to debit cards, it's a very different product. And I think one of the things that we wanted to do which we thought of about 10 years ago, was that eventually there's going to be a lot more form factors and instruments that will come in. And how do we move a lot of this into digital platforms? And I think that's where PayZap is a product which is a mobile payment platform for the bank.
Okay.
And not only are consumers able to link their credit cards and their debit cards and do a lot of transactions, which is completely through their phone, be it recharges and bill payments. And we have a no OTP solution called Swipe to Pay, so that customers don't have to be pained with the multiple OTPs that they have to enter.
Yeah.
Soon and progressing that, it is also scan to pay and on RuPay cards, as well as tap and pay. So PayZapp becomes the instead of customers carrying their wallet and their cards in the wallet, they eventually can fully move into a mobile-based product platform. So we launched PayZapp with that purpose, and we've recently upgraded the platform. SmartBuy is more of our accelerated rewards and loyalty platform, and in a way, both drive engagement and loyalty. But SmartBuy was built with the very purpose of a lot of travel-based redemptions, giving more reward points, customers being able to redeem their reward points with low effort, with a lot of merchant integrations which comes inside the platform. So it's more of the platform that today customers recognize, with the fact that you get more rewards and you can burn your rewards. So SmartBuy is more known for that, and doing a lot of work in that direction to enhance it. So both of those are very distinct identities and important platforms of engagement.
Wonderful. And what was it you launched yesterday in Mumbai, Vidya?
So that's a co-branded card with Swiggy, which is again a very high engagement platform in India. It drives a lot of daily categories like grocery, instant grocery delivery, instant food delivery. These are extremely sticky categories, drives a lot of engagement and loyalty. So travel consumers love and is aspirational, but this is value and this is on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So we wanted to be associated with that category, and our association with Swiggy is now something that we are really hoping to unveil to our customers, and a lot of good feedback as it is we are getting about how beautiful it's looking and how engaging it's looking. So hopefully we've cracked another big initiative and hoping to make it big. Launched a couple of days back. Proof of the pudding is on the results. So another 6 months we'll probably decide how we are going to whether we're going to make it really, really big or whether it's going to be mid-path, but we'll know. But I think ambitions are a great brand in India, hoping to make it big.
Okay, congratulations. Now, of course, we're also joined by Rohan Bala. Rohan has been a guest already on Let's Talk Loyalty, but for anyone who didn't hear that episode, I will explain that Rohan has over 15 years of experience building customer engagement and data-driven marketing solutions for clients across the Asia-Pacific region. Rohan describes himself as passionate about creating greater end-user customer value and business impact. He's focused on converting strategy into execution, and he has worked across a breadth of industry verticals with a specific focus on loyalty program design, customer engagement strategy, commercial modeling, and program management. So Rohan, welcome to the webinar.
Thanks, Paula. It's great to be back and be on Let's Talk Loyalty again.
Thank you, Rohan. Fantastic. So you are here to illuminate us. So first of all, kick us off with a brief overview of this latest research report from Collinson.
Yeah, thanks, Paula. So actually, just yesterday we launched our customer insights report around what our customers really looking at, and I think if we go back to why we came up with this report was when we talk to our clients and extensive clients across the world, we find that there is more focus on creating measurable business impact across their customer engagement activities. And more clients now looking at how do we really measure what we're doing and how we're delivering value back to the customers and to the business. And as we look at the environment in which we're operating today, there is a lot of uncertainty, whether there are macroeconomic factors that are changing dynamics, or even just new behaviors that customers have adopted in the last few years that are changing either the way they travel or the way they shop, the way they go online or offline and things like that. And I think to really win the hearts and minds of customers, brands need to own the engagement that they have with customers to be able to deliver to that business impact and customer value. And it was really with that in mind, we decided to run this round of the customer survey to see what are the trends and behaviors that are driving customer value and their perception. So earlier this year, we surveyed about 4,750 customers across 10 markets across Asia Pacific. So from Australia, India, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Hong Kong, South Korea, Japan, and China.
Amazing.
And yeah, and I think we have some really interesting insights. The key difference between this research and probably other research that you've seen on loyalty is that we looked at two axes of customer behavior. So one is their behavior in response to customer engagement programs and loyalty programs. And the second is their travel behaviors. And what we find is that when we overlay the two, there's a lot that there's a lot of impact that travel actually has on loyalty trends more broadly. And I'll talk more about that through the course of the session, but that's one really interesting insight that we picked up on as we went through this.
Very exciting. Thank you for that. And certainly that breadth of countries, Rowan, is absolutely extraordinary. As I said at the beginning, I really don't feel like I have nearly enough insights, sometimes from Australia, but certainly not the other particular countries. So super exciting. So Vidya, let's get into your business. We have some sense of the scale from what you've already told us. And indeed, offline, you told me even in your operations center, you have 25,000 people working there. So an amazing business, clearly one of the largest credit card issuers in India. You have a leading share of total card spend, as well as your platform like SmartBuy. So what I'm hearing is that you love innovation, and that's actually a key value of mine as well. So I'd love to ask you, how are you driving customer engagement, and what are some of the kind of key areas of focus for your team?
So I think the business inherently has a lot of innovation needs built in. I think I'm not too sure of a business where you can continue to sustain without innovation.
Yeah.
You take even soaps, or the way a classical soap became anything, so many different form factors. So I think every kind of a business will have to innovate, and I would say it accelerates in payments because in India, there are so many things that are happening. There is UPI, which as a payment instrument became the biggest innovation that any country has done. And I think UPI is being taken to other countries now by the government. So it's a very different form factor, which was unveiled in India, which is homegrown in India, and it literally changed the way Indians pay. So cash has literally become insignificant, and everybody started pulling out their mobile and started understanding what a scan to pay is. And it happened very quickly. So Indians love innovation, and I think it's very quickly they can abandon other form factors, and it's a matter of time that something else new can come and they can quickly make a shift. If they don't take 7, 8.
I think Vidya has frozen there for a second. Rowan, are you still with me?
I am, yes.
Indeed. Okay. So we were just getting into the really exciting stuff. UPI is not a particular term that I'm familiar with, but it sounds like.
To make the...
Oh, she's back again. Vidya, you're breaking up a little bit on us. Can you hear me? I blame that rain in India, huh? Disrupting the Wi-Fi, perhaps. Okay, I think we'll come back to Vidya in a second. So Pooja, if you'll just drop Vidya a message there just to let her know, we'll pick up on that in a moment. So Rowan, really want to get into, I suppose, also things like innovation. Lots of particular research talking about things like experiential benefits becoming very significant. Things like privileges, access to, I suppose, things like NFTs and metaverse on customers' radars. So I'd love to get a sense, what for you was maybe the most surprising insight that you saw in this year's research?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to Vidya's point that she didn't complete yet, but just talking about innovation across brands, I think we're seeing that more and more. In fact, prior to doing the customer survey, we'd done one on the B2B side,
Okay.
just looking at where brands are investing. And one of the key areas from a customer engagement and loyalty perspective is really innovation in technology
Mm-hmm.
and innovation in rewards itself.
Mm,
So those were two of the big drivers that we saw. And underlying technology is obviously the entire data infrastructure that's needed to
mm,
support that. But those are some of the things we were seeing a lot of. Coming back to the current research, and I'd started talking about that, which was really the interplay between travel and loyalty, which was really
mm,
interesting. What we found was when we looked at the customers that travel more frequently, and these are
mm-hmm.
people that take more than 10 trips in a year,
Yeah.
we found that they over-index on other metrics of loyalty. So,
Mm,
as an example, the people that travel more than 10 times a year were actually members of twice as many loyalty programs as those
okay.
that travel less frequently.
Okay.
And the people that travel frequently, they identify themselves as 60% of them saying that their spending behavior was influenced by their program of choice, as compared to only 20% for people that travel less frequently. So 3 times more or 3x
Yeah.
higher was their influence of spending behavior on loyalty. Um, we we wanted to look a little deeper and see, is it just travel frequency or are there other aspects that are driving that?
Mm,
And one of the things that we asked was, are travel rewards part of your loyalty program of choice? And
mm,
a majority of respondents, which is, I believe, 90 plus, said that
mm.
there was an element of travel rewards built into the program construct. Now, this was not limited to just travel programs. Our survey covered any program that you were a part of. So it could be travel, it could be
Mm,
financial services, supermarkets, retail, telecom. There wasn't any constraint on industry. So essentially, what we're seeing is that travel rewards are getting adopted more and more as part of these programs.
amazing.
Um,
Yeah.
of the customers that have travel rewards, 93% said that they would continue using that program because
Mm-hmm.
of those rewards, which
Mm,
is really substantial. So I think
yeah.
what we're seeing is that travel is aspirational,
Yeah.
and as travel comes back and returns, more and more people still aspire and continue towards that.
Mm,
Travel rewards have a very high perceived value.
yeah.
And I think brands are starting to leverage that
Mm,
in their customer engagement constructs, and essentially customers are responding to that with their hearts, their minds, as well as their wallets. So I
yeah.
think there's a really interesting interplay there that came out.
Well, I can certainly attest to it personally, Rowan. Would you believe just this week my husband got a new credit card, and it is a travel related credit card. And I've literally said we need to sit down together every month to make sure that his spend is on target, to make sure he achieves his welcome bonuses, because I'm already bought into the rewards that are on offer. So I don't think he pays as much attention to his travel rewards as I do. So I'm going to make sure that we don't miss anything. So incredible to see that coming through. And just about your point about, people who travel frequently being more engaged with loyalty, Rowan, like I also think that that's a very, well understood, but perhaps underappreciated piece, because I think the travel industry has educated us so well in terms of what happens when we do behave in certain ways. And as you said, travel has come back. I think it's called revenge travel, actually, probably more than before, even before the big pandemic, dare I say. So super exciting to see such huge numbers coming through. I'm going to quickly check if Vidya is available to comment on that. I'm not sure if she's got her Wi-Fi working there, but I know we've plenty to talk about in terms of demographics, for example, generational differences. So Rowan, I think we'll just keep going with you if that's okay. And hopefully Vidya can join us back when her technology is behaving itself.
I think Vidya's back, Paula. Sorry.
I'm back, Paula.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you for joining us. All okay with you? No, I don't think so.
On that very note.
I think we're going to have a second webinar just with video, maybe a podcast.
It was
So
a blip.
No problem. You're only coming through in little pieces, Vidya. I know you were doing a wonderful point there. Are you still able to comment on where you were talking about in terms of your cards? No, I think we'll have to let her go for a couple of minutes. Yeah. Vidya, when you're there, just let me know, and we'll pick back up that question with you. Because as I said, innovation's super important. So, country like India want to understand the UPI piece that you were talking about. So, Rowan, let's get into some of the generational distinctions and insights, and maybe some market level differences in consumer preferences. I know you meet with all of the Collinson clients, and you are, I suppose, advising them on engaging with up and coming generations like Gen Z. So, what kind of advice are you giving to those clients when they want to understand these consumer preferences?
Yes, I think what we find with generations is obviously with generations, there's also the stage in life that you are, which really influences and drives some of what your preferences are, some of what you can and cannot do as well. And I'll explain that further. When we think about uh, the credit card space, and there's been a lot of research that talks about how younger generations are not going towards credit products, and they're looking at debit or alternative payments, and different countries have different levels of that. It's also the stage of life that's defining some of those things. And as those customers age, as they start working and into the workforce, they will build up their own credit scores and limits to be able to accord the same product. So it's very important to map out where in the life stage the different generational customers are, and then what is relevant to really engage them with. What we find that is consistent across generations is really going back to the travel rewards. And
Mm,
the travel benefits resonate very strongly, especially with Gen Zs and millennials. They really relate to those rewards, and I think it was 91% of Gen Zs and above, about 75% of millennials said that they would join a customer engagement program if it offered travel-related rewards and benefits. So I
mm,
think there was a consistent tone or a theme there that we
yeah.
found. But what we also see through the research is that the younger generations are more open to experimenting beyond the traditional forms of benefits and rewards. So, if you think, cash discounts,
Yeah.
the rational elements are still important and they still rank higher. But
Mm-hmm.
what we find is the emotional aspects are starting to gain more and more relevance.
Absolutely.
Whether it
Yeah.
is Yeah, whether it's things like experiences, which
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing more and more of.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, 42% of Gen Zers believe that experiential rewards are important to them as part of any program that they're going to join. Experiential rewards come in different flavors, whether they're, money can't buy experiences, there are
Mm,
status benefits,
mm,
and so on. The other areas that we see them over index on is really digital. So you
mm-hmm.
touched upon it, NFTs, metaverse, and while this is probably the innovation bucket that Vidya will definitely share more with us on.
Yeah.
I think these are areas where there's a lot of experimenting that's happening
Mm,
by brands, and
mm-hmm.
I think customers, especially the younger generations, are ready to go on that journey with them.
Mm,
And that's why the Gen Zers definitely index higher, followed by the millennials on some of these
yeah.
digital, rewards and digital experiences. The other area where Gen Zers did over-index is things like charitable donations,
Mm,
which was
interesting.
interesting,
Yeah.
which was very interesting, and I think it just goes to some of the awareness that is there around some of the things today in the world and the availability of information.
Yeah.
Um, but on the flip side of that, things like environmental or social, sustainability initiatives didn't have as much uptake by the younger generations as it did by
Interesting.
some of the older ones. So
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
an interesting mix
Mm,
that we see
mm-hmm.
from the research.
So Vidya's back. I'm delighted to hear. Vidya, you were explaining about UPI, innovation in India, amazing changing behavior, scan to pay. So maybe you'll just, finish off what you were going to share with us about this idea about what your team is focusing on from an innovation perspective, because I think that was really interesting in terms of how quickly and dramatically these consumer preferences are coming through.
Yeah, so I think continuing, I think it's very relevant, Rohan, throwing a backdrop, because I think there's a combination of multiple form factors, and there's a combination of different generations having different preferences, and very difficult to say which Gen Z is more environmental conscious, which Gen Z is more keen on food, and who's more keen on entertainment, and who's keen on travel and aspiration. So in innovation hence, and I think a couple of things that we are working on is not only a lot of programs in the super premium segment or the more upper affluent segment, which is in the range of they look out for travel and experiences a lot more, like Rohan called out. So there's a lot of partnerships that we are working on to drive that innovation, including Collinson and including Marriott and groups like that, where we can drive those kind of experiences and travel related benefits. And in the lower part of the pyramid, where we are talking Gen Zs, young jobbers, for them, we are looking at end-to-end digital programs where they'll have a completely, because they seek more, they don't want to call anybody. They don't
Yeah.
like to talk on the phone.
Me too.
So we are looking at, so it's the
Yeah.
world so quickly changed. So we are looking at end-to-end digital programs, from how he takes a card, what kind of card benefits he can choose,
Yeah.
he can prefer, how he can juggle with whatever we have to offer. He picks and chooses what he wants. Gone are the days where we can have a sales guy contacting the customer and saying, do you want to take this? So you have to give them a plethora of options and menus for them to choose from. So
Okay.
we are innovating in the space of how customers can literally curate their programs and offer
Interesting.
these benefits as a menu, and making still credit card something that they want to have.
Yeah.
And even innovation in how you deliver a credit card, how it can be more and more virtual, how the credit card itself is not seen as a very expensive proposition. So we are looking at innovation. We are innovating, and you will see it all coming through in the coming year.
Yeah.
We are to be more and more relevant to the to the changing needs of the customer, which is more in the space of let me choose. Allow me to choose. Otherwise, I won't use you. That's what
Okay.
they're saying.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we are trying to cater to.
Amazing. I love that word curate, Vidya, and absolutely, I think particularly Gen Zs do have higher expectations, as you said, in terms of personalizing and their own preferences. And yes, it's wonderful. I know you have been working actually with Collinson since I think 2008, and I know you
Yes.
offer Priority Pass as a benefit across your premium card portfolio. How do you see that relationship with Collinson working in the future to, I suppose, expand and enhance your cardholders' experiences?
Yes, I think it was a very big success. Priority Pass as a concept became something that we can't move away from, because our premium customers genuinely, are very, very sticky when it comes to our cards, because it's dovetailed with Priority Pass. So we are coming up with some more concepts, and we've met with the Collinson team to look at what more we can do more on the experiences side.
Okay.
Like I said, more curated experiences, more curated dining experiences in India,
Nice. Yeah.
because I think it's a place where there's a lot of clutter. So it's very difficult, and the population is very high, and you are dealing with 18 million credit card customers. You're
Yeah.
dealing with another 40 million debit card customers. So the
Mm.
scale at which we operate is so big
Yeah.
that we find it very difficult to offer experiences. So
Yeah.
our work with Collinson in the coming years to come, and especially the coming year, will
Mm.
be more towards how to deliver better lounge experiences on one
Mm-hmm.
side,
Mm-hmm.
because it's become a very, very crowded place. So we are trying
Yeah.
to make it more and more a unique a proposition. So lounge is an area we are working on. Some more
Mm.
services inside airports we are working on, which are more exclusive
Yeah.
experiences than inside an airport. We are working on meet and greet kind of services, curated dining services. So
Mm.
we are exploring these as key opportunities with Collinson to drive the fact that we are good in curating
Yeah.
exclusive experiences. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Exclusivity was always something in my own loyalty career that we really focused on, particularly the bigger the brand, the more I suppose we see that that is a key differentiator. So very exciting. And I do remember hearing that India is going to be the most populous country in the world, I think by 2030, overtaking China. So absolutely extraordinary scale. So I'm guessing you're going to
Yeah,
be
and
reading this research. And Rowan, I was just about to come to you to talk about communications actually, because with so many customers, I do think there's very different preferences for different channels, also by generation and by market. I can see Vidya nodding as well. So Rowan, will you tell us what the research said about communication channels when you just did this report?
yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, as Vidya was talking, just the scale and driving innovation at scale is mind-boggling, right? So to be
Yeah,
able to do that,
yeah.
it's a really exciting journey. And I think the communication channels and technology plays such an important role in that.
Mm,
What we see through the research was that from a channel preference, mobile comes out right on top. That's really the channel of
makes
communication,
sense.
of engagement
Yeah.
that customers want to use and want brands to use. And through mobile, of course, you have a gateway to pretty much everything, whether it's social, whether it's payments, whether it's anything that you want to do. I remember a few years back when I used to be more in the digital agency world and running
Yeah.
retention programs. We'd started talking to clients about moving away from mobile apps,
Okay.
and the conversation was, there are a
Wow.
lot. Do you
Yeah.
really want to be one of so many? And this is going back 5+ years.
Yeah.
And the conversation was, customers won't have so many apps on their phones. Is it really relevant? And we see that that's changed a lot, and there's a bit of a pivot that we're also making now in as consumers as well as brands. And there have been a lot of things that have happened in those last few
Mm,
years, right? There's been proliferation of smartphones, macro factors like just the spectrum and technology to be able to support internet, 3G, 4G, 5G speeds have come out.
mm,
There's also the entire thing around super apps,
mm-hmm.
and we all have heard about X.
Yeah.
What is that going to morph into, and what would that do?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of this change, and this is my belief is that it's being driven by a lot of what the banking apps are doing. And just what Vidya was mentioning earlier, of putting everything onto your
Yeah.
device so you don't need to carry anything else, that is such a liberating reality,
Yeah.
right? That you literally can step out of your house with just your phone in your pocket, and you can do exactly everything that you did, whether you need to spend, whether you need a
Yeah.
cab, whatever it is. And I think that's kind of the future that we're seeing. That's the trend we're seeing now. Across markets, there are differences
Okay.
in where people reflected. Korea definitely reflected much higher on mobile.
Okay.
India was also one of the leaders.
Mm.
But interestingly, one of the laggard markets that we saw in the survey was Japan.
Oh.
And it's an interesting one. We're still seeing what could be the drivers. There's obviously an aging demographic there that could be one of
Mm.
the drivers. There's more web showed up more as
Mm.
websites, and that was one of the channels where there was more interest on engagement rather than mobile. So there are a few nuances there which came out, but interestingly, I think mobile was the number one
Mm.
channel of communication.
Yeah, not surprising. And Vidya, given your practicing day to day with all of these channels, what's your experience in terms of preferences and what are you seeing with Indian consumers?
I think emailers are going to be passe, and at least in India, we are seeing diminishing communications. I mean, it's so important to communicate to customers, but I feel that customers have moved to an era where it's more pull-based communication, where they come to seek something, you try to communicate what's relevant to them.
Yeah.
That's what they seem to prefer. But if you have to really push communication and you've got to do it, I would say mobile, like Rohan called out, that's the only way we are able to communicate now.
Yeah.
More than even emails or websites is literally irrelevant to us as a bank. We are not seeing much traction there. I
Wow.
think our own platforms like mobile banking app or app or notifications, mobile-based notifications, WhatsApp for important, and you can't spam the customer. So you are choosy with what you communicate on WhatsApp, but WhatsApp is very, very popular in India. Messaging and SMS is the next channel. But I would say social media and mobile-based is the only two ways we are able to get in touch with the customer. And I think Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is where the customer sits largely.
Yeah.
And even if it's segmented communication, even if I've got to talk to Rohan about something as a bank, I think he's likely to listen. And if it is more on WhatsApp or more on social media or more on our own platforms that he walks into, the consumers are stopping to, otherwise they look at all emailers we send as spam. So they're literally not reading it even. I think it's also got to do with the over communication the country has done over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
I think everybody overdid it, that people have switched off from it. So
Yeah.
like recently in the same stream of communication, I think India opened up on a concept of credit cards being linked to UPI. So UPI was more account-based payments, and
Okay.
UPI got opened up where customers can link credit cards, not all network, not Visa, MasterCard, but RuPay network cards alone. And it was a big move in India recently, and everybody was looking at how it's going to work out. And we're the first bank who's done the highest, and the first 500 crore has been done by our bank by linking credit cards. And I think that entire communication method and the way we went about it, we actually decided that we will keep it end-to-end virtual and mobile. And I think that worked for us as a strategy. And
Yeah.
we as a bank cracked it the first among all other issues. So I think even innovations, we are able to better deliver it if it's more end-to-end communicated on a mobile platform.
Yeah.
Like we used a platform called My Cards to get customers to be able to get those cards instantly and to link those cards instantly on UPI. And we said we won't do anything else. We'll just do it only purely through mobile platform.
Yeah.
And I think that got us the success. So I think that's where we are headed. I think
Yeah.
anything on mobile is not going to work in India.
Well, you already made the point, Vidya. Thank you for that, about your customers really curating the offers and what they expect in terms of being, able to access something really exclusive and experiential. So to hear that email actually is all being seen by spam is the first time I've heard that being said. I often hear that so many loyalty programs still overly, I think, do rely on email. But I think as time goes on, we do need to look for more innovative channels. So exciting to hear that WhatsApp is something that's becoming very powerful. And of course, within your own banking platform, you've got that relationship. And to Rowan's point, of course, everyone's going to download their banking app. They may not download other ones, but they certainly want their banking app. So you do have permission and an opportunity, of course, for relevance there, which is really interesting in terms of curating communications. So super interesting. And Vidya, I know a lot of your success with your cards actually is from partnering with other brands like Indigo and Tata Group. And I really think actually that as we did go through that COVID era, I think the co-brand cards kept a lot of airlines afloat almost. I think we saw some dramatic results. So what do you think is the benefit that issuers are seeing for co-brand cards and tipping point to airlines at this point as we come out of that?
So I think it's got to do with two things, right? And I think we love working with partners. I mean, that I consider it my primary job. I
Nice.
respect them, I love them, I work with them very closely because I think you cannot walk alone in any business. I think if you think you can do it alone, I think you are being a little foolish because I think
Yeah.
uh, each of these giants are very good with what they do and how they go about it, right? I mean, you take a Collinson, they're very good at, a department which I will never be able to crack myself. You take an Indigo, they're the largest airline in India and by market share. So there's no way that you can pull benefits and pull the customer loyalty of what customers have with Indigo and say that I'll replicate these benefits without your partner. That's not going to happen. So I think the fact that they are the consumers and
Mm-hmm.
they're very these consumers are very sticky with them. They love the benefits that Indigo offers or a Tata Neo offers. We standalone will not be able to offer. So I think the consumers are also very sticky with them, and I
Mm-hmm.
think our offerings become more powerful. That to the extent that you can stay afloat, literally during bad phases, you can stay afloat, is a very, very important thing that only I think partners can bring to the table. So, like I said, Swiggy is offering a Swiggy One membership, a fast delivery, certain cashbacks on their dining partners. These are things that they bring to the table. And Indigo gives milestone benefits, a free meal in flight,
Mm-hmm.
as loyalty benefits for you to book your flights on Indigo. So these are things that a credit card and a travel co-brand can bring together, which
Mm.
standalone I will not be able to put on the table. So I
Mm.
think it's a extremely good
Strategy.
coalition which you do,
Yeah.
and I think we'll be doing more of it. And I would say that there's always this debate of how many co-brands are you going to have. I think as far as it's relevant to the customer,
Yeah.
and travel is a very important category, dining is a very important category, entertainment is a very important category.
Yeah.
So I'm likely to expand my partnerships and give the range. And if you're going to deal with a population of like India,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to, and not every Indian is the same,
Of
you
course.
rather have you have a suite of products and Rohan can choose what he wants instead of me saying that I will have only this, you've got to take it.
Yeah.
I think that's not going to fly in the future.
100%.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and to add to that, I think that completely aligns with what we heard from customers in the survey, where 3 out of 4 customers said that if a brand collaborates with other brands, they're
Mm-hmm.
more likely to be engaged and stick on with those brands. So it's
Nice.
amazing that you're doing all of those things and the customers are replaying that back.
Yeah.
And as I was sharing with you earlier, India does over-index on some of these things.
Mm.
So if it's 75% across the region, India was about 85% that felt
Wow.
brand collaborations, and they'd love to see more of those.
Amazing. My own background actually was in partnerships as well, as you might know from my days in mobile loyalty. But absolutely, we always had that same conclusion actually in research and really in everything that we did. It was almost like consumers have this perception that if you do go and collaborate and find things that really make them feel special, that they really think you've gone above and beyond your own core business to do something that's very valuable. So definitely a driver of loyalty. So wonderful to see that coming through in this piece of research. Rowan, I want to ask you more then about this idea about customer experience as an era. I think in the marketing media, we're hearing this term coming through a lot. So I'd love for you to give your take is, what is this customer experience era that we all need to be thinking about?
I think Vidya's very nicely put it in terms of all the experiences that they're looking at building and everything that they're doing so customer centric.
Mm-hmm.
And that customer centricity about putting choice, about putting curating things and giving it to the customers and letting them decide their own individual journeys and experiences with the brand is so powerful. And I think that summarizes what the customer experience era is really about.
Okay.
um, there are two parts to that. One is, I think, from a um, from a business perspective, customer engagement and customer loyalty are being discussed right at the top levels of the organization. So customers literally have a seat at the board,
Yeah.
so to speak, in
Nice.
all the conversations that are happening. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we're seeing more and more of,
Mm-hmm.
that in the market. The other side that we see from a customer perspective, and this is, I think, where the experience not just around what you give to them, but the entire experience of how you engage with your customers. Where it's the mobile experience or your communications, their experience within your brick and mortar areas. All of that is getting summed up and getting viewed on par with the products and services that you provide.
Yeah.
So 76% of customers actually said that the experience that a brand can provide
Mm-hmm.
is at the same level,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe even more valued than its products and services.
Wow.
So there's really a blend that we're seeing where customers want to engage brands, want to emotionally connect with brands, and believe those experiences that a
Mm.
brand creates for them are special. And
Yeah.
on the other side, you're seeing brands recognizing that and putting customers and customer centricity right at the top. So I
Yeah.
think that's really, coming
Amazing.
together is the customer experience era,
Very
that
nice. Yeah.
more of.
Indeed. Yeah. And I think as loyalty professionals, certainly people who listen to our show, I think people on this webinar definitely buy into that. And I think we believe it in the core of our being. I just see a question actually that came through on the chat on this particular topic. So, and it's actually for Vidya. And it's about how does HDFC tackle change management in the bank to ensure that the full bank leadership team buy into this idea of rewards rather than just a credit card program? Because I think what a lot of us do have to do, of course, is put our business cases together, ensure the senior leadership team understand this idea of the customer experience era. So Vidya, would you just answer that question it's actually for Amanda Cromhout. She's one of the Let's Talk Loyalty team, but I know she has a lot of clients that would face this issue. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I think, yeah, I love the question when I read it on the chat. So thanks, Amanda. And I think it's a classical stage we were in about 10 years back when rewards is more about credit cards and it's lesser about the bank. But I think we've sort of come over that battle because I think the change management was important. I think at very, very senior levels, we started looking at hardcore data points. Very, very clearly, customers who use their credit card more, who accrue credit reward points, who burn their reward points, who redeem a lot more, who are more sticky on their card, especially from a rewards redemption point of view. The customers who redeem their rewards vis-a-vis non-redeemers,
Yeah.
their spends are always 2.5x. And
Wow.
that shift and that drift is only going up. There was a point in time, some time back, the difference was 1.3x, then it became 1.8x, and now we are talking 2.5x between a redeemer and a non-redeemer. Not only that, over a period of time, we've been able to link that the people who are redeemers not only reflect spend behavior and better credit card behavior, which means better profitability for the bank and better
Yeah.
interchange with the bank, but we also saw their own stickiness with the bank, their AQBs, their balances with the bank account, customers moving up the bank band. So somewhere we've now been, if we have very, very proven metric and data to show that a credit card is is an instrument which drives not only credit card stickiness, but over a period of time, it's driving bank stickiness is now well established, to the
Yeah.
extent that our MD, Mr. Shashi, says it in every meeting that we have, saying that this is great and this is the way. So there is no questions now about credit card rewards, because there's a very high correlation to credit card rewards users to being long-term bank loyalists. So there's a very clear correlation. And we tried in many parts of our time, we thought of bank-wide loyalty and should it become credit card loyalty to bank-wide loyalty?
Yeah.
And then there is a lot of use cases which goes for it and against it. We took a decision that we will not go for it. We'll put all our investments in the credit card rewards, make it the primary, the best, best rewards program, not invest everywhere, invest through that one product program, make it something so powerful that all the better high-end customers of the bank don't leave the bank, because they have this credit card and the great loyalty program that the credit card brings in. So it was a highly debated topic for over 7 years. I think now we are quite happy where we are, and there's a lot of correlation. And that change management took us time. It almost like I was running in silo, and I'm the only person running reports. But over a period of time, the correlation now is well established that the high net worth customers of the bank hold the highest expense of our rewards program as well. So that's established as well. I hope I've answered this question.
Exceptionally well, Vidya. First of all, I think, I've often said that loyalty does feel like a lonely business sometimes, like you said, running in silo, trying to convince senior leadership of particularly this importance of closing the loop. And thank you for your generosity in sharing those statistics, because to go from 1.3 to 2.5 in terms of the proven value of delivering those rewards is exactly the kind of things that I do, research and learn and love to learn about, because that's what drives, I suppose, the overall performance when we have, experts like HDFC Bank who can conclude that, and therefore we can change our propositions accordingly. So I think as loyalty industry professionals, we all believe that loyalty propositions, and we know it drives profitable behavior change. So I wanted to ask Rowan a bit about that. There are key emerging themes I know that are coming through in the recent research. So what are your thoughts in terms of what do we need to be thinking about, going forward to drive this profitable behavior change?
I think customer centricity experience are critical, right? Really putting customers in the driving seat and viewing it from their lens. The age-old saying in loyalty is that burn drives earn.
Okay,
right?
sure.
It's really the redemption
it works.
that really drives things forward and propels the customer engagement and that entire momentum.
Okay.
And we see that from the survey as well. So from the survey, it's really the number one thing that people relate to, and this is probably to even Amanda's question in the chat, is there are rewards and benefits that are relevant to me. That's the number one thing that people say when as part of their customer engagement programs, or what makes you stick with them. The other pieces are really about, ease of use, creating a good value proposition, and just making it, stick. So I think those are some of the things which are most important to think about as we look at this. And I'd go back to the interesting insight, which was the travel connection, right? And as we look at that, we're seeing that some of those behaviors, some of those rewards are also influencing behaviors, and especially in the financial services space, where when we looked at customers that said banks or credit cards were part of their favorite loyalty programs, about 73% said that they would pick a card based on the travel benefits it had. And 85% said that they would continue using that card if it had those benefits.
Okay.
So just interesting, stats around what is really driving some of these customer behaviors.
Indeed, absolutely. I see a couple more questions coming in, which I'm going to try and get to now as well, but also want to encourage anyone, if you do have questions, even if we don't have time to cover them today, we'll of course be following up to make sure that you can address any direct questions either to Rohan or to Vidya. So please do make sure to put them in there. So we've got lots of things to talk about. So the final piece just on that insight, I suppose, Rohan, was I know you referenced a particular study that you guys did previously where you gathered responses from brands, whereas this one is obviously from consumers. And just wondered, if you compare those two studies, do you think there's any gaps between the brand strategy and customer expectations from the two pieces of research?
I think there is recognition of where customers in the market is going, and brands recognizing that and already thinking about their investment. So one of the questions on the business side, or the business study that we'd done, was around where do they see future innovation and their investments going.
Okay.
And the three areas, as I mentioned earlier, I think it was technology, rewards innovation, and data. And I think those were the three things that everyone really wanted to double down on. We see a lot more of that happening. If we zoom out from business into the tech world and we see what's happening in the tech space, which is really the providers to all of this, is really about bringing data to the core of it, enabling that through whatever AI and other platforms that they have. So we see that happening in parallel, and I think customers are responding to that favorably, where what they're saying is really, and I like to think of this as a bit of a triangle, where you know me, you value me, and then you engage me. And I think to know me, you need the data. To value me, you need to know the insights, and to engage me, you need to have all of the technology to be able to deliver it at scale.
Yeah.
And you can't have any of these three not happening together,
Okay.
because it's just going to fall. So I think it's that area where customers are saying, be relevant to me, and I'm willing to share data, I'm willing to be open, I'm willing to engage.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, brands recognizing that and doing that. So I
Okay.
think that recognition, and we're moving towards the customer experience, I would like to believe.
Love it. Very holistic. Thank you for that, Rowan. Another question for Vidya. This comes in from Todd Hancock. How does HDFC measure the value of different loyalty benefits, such as travel benefits?
Yeah, I think another great question. I think one of the ways that we have started looking at our loyalty programs and what benefits customer takes. In any product program, we have a program called, say, Infinia, or we have a program called Millennia. We will have some of the hero loyalty benefits in each of these programs. For example, in Millennia, it could be how much a customer can redeem, say, just cash points, or in Infinia, the customer redeems on travel benefits, or he redeems on Apple products. So the way we measure is, we not only measure people who are associated with all the product brand benefits, we also vertically drive it. We say that in this particular program, which is one program, we say that, who are the customers who are using excessive amount of travel benefits, who's using excessive amount of Apple benefits, who's using excessive amount of, say, experiences. And then we look at attrition levels, dormancy levels, engagement levels, spend per card, because in India, here it's very, the customer slipping into dormancy and card closure. So here, as per the regulator, if customers are not using your card over a period of time, you've got to close those cards. You can't keep those cards. So
Wow.
we look at metrics for each of the benefit users. So guys who are using travel benefits, like Rowan called out, they are far higher in their spend per card. They are far lower on attrition levels. They are far lower on dormancy. They are far higher on income per card. They are far higher on interchange metrics. So we have like a dashboard with all the measures that we measure. And we not only look at how the customers overall spend, we look at these benefit seekers, how each benefit seeker is better in these parameters. So then it helps us keep some of these benefits and drop some of the other benefits as well. So that's how we measure it. And in this whole manner, we have dropped some of the benefits which are not so meaningful, which are only economically and mathematically higher on our P&L. Whereas we hold on to benefits where it drives long-term benefits and stickiness of the customer. So those are the metrics we use, and especially travel benefits works wonder for us.
Amazing. Sounds very scientific, Vidya. Sounds like a wonderful dashboard. We're coming up on time now. We've got literally 2 minutes left. So, Vidya, I've one closing question for you. Of course, future focused. What can cardholders look forward to from HDFC Bank in the future? Can you tell us anything about what's on your roadmap for innovation and customer experience enhancement?
Yeah, so I guess thanks for that. I think we want to be at the forefront of, having the customer in the center. So we are always listening. So we are always, like Rohan said, almost, everything he was saying, we are preparing for. So
yeah.
For us, customer centricity, we have customer experience pods. We are always listening to how consumers are changing. So I think in the future, consumers can look forward to us being the most relevant bank. We will be, if they are changing, we will change with them as our promise to the customer. So if their channels are changing, we'll be there. If their preferences are changing, we'll be there.
Nice.
If they see completely different things like in gamification or gaming, we'll be there.
Yeah.
If thinking metaverse, we'll be there. If they're thinking NFTs, we'll be there. So I think our promise to our customer is, and that's the direction we are working in. We are, like I earlier discussed, there are some projects we are working on where we know that consumers will prefer virtual worlds and metaverse to even listen to what I'm saying. They would want to listen to it any point of the day and not log into a webinar. So we'll prepare for being in virtual worlds. They can access whatever they want to access through metaverse. So those are the things you will see us do more and more in the future, and hoping that we stay the most relevant to them. So if they're changing, we're changing as well. And that's what we are preparing.
Wow, clearly it's working. So, Rowan, final question to you. What are the top key takeaways from the research, and will you remind us where we can access it?
Yeah, absolutely. The research is available on the Collinson website. I think the link is posted in the chat. So feel free to download that. I mean, I could have said it any better. I think Vidya's, given the entire story of the customer experience era. So I'm not going to, talk more on that. But I think it's really about the customer. It's where the customer is going. And I think brands are doing that. We as, partners are also focused on that and, looking at what are some of those innovations and areas that brands are looking at and how we support that. And I think customers really want that. That's really what customers want. It's about experience. It's about being relevant. And I think as long as we can do that, we're doing something right.
Absolutely. Well, listen, guys, it's been an absolute joy. I have learned so much. I will certainly be digging into the research a lot more myself. That's all for today. I want to ensure everybody knows where to access the report. It is available in the LinkedIn invitation. And of course, as Rowan said, in the chat box here as well. And I would just like to finish by saying a huge thank you to our speakers, Vidya Pradeep from HDFC Bank and Rowan Bala from Collinson. Thank you so much from Let's Talk Loyalty.